The Sydney Opera House is the iconic building of Australia, but how did it come to be?
It's one of the most recognisable buildings in the world.
That is definitely true, along with things like the Elizabeth Tower, Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, the Taj Mahal, the Sydney Opera House.
Positioned on the water's edge and overlooking the famous harbour, Sydney Opera House is an iconic structure that is synonymous with Australia.
I would say that actually it's not just the building that is the iconic thing. I think its location right on the harbour is also what makes it so special. And I don't think you necessarily think of that right away, but I just think that adds to it. You know, it's not in the middle of nowhere. It is right slap bang there. There's nothing around, nothing to take your nothing to distract you. It is there.
Though it now appears to float effortlessly on the water, this landmark building took some extreme engineering and over a decade of construction works to become a reality. This is the story of how Sydney Opera House was built. In 1955, when the New South Wales Conservatorium of Music outgrew their home at Sydney Town Hall, Premier Joseph Cahill launched an international design competition for a dedicated opera house.
That seems strange to me that there was a music, venue in a town hall. That seems strange to me because I wouldn't associate the two things connected. I would see town hall as a sort of a place for committees and organising what happens in the town or city, but not for musical events.
After reviewing 233 entries from architects in 32 countries, the judges declared Danish architect Jorn Utzon as the winner of the competition in 1957, despite his entry comprising largely of diagrammatic drawings and simple sketches. Following his win, Utzon proceeded to refine the building plans. However, in order to capitalise on strong public support for the project at that time and to ensure its funding, the New South Wales government pushed for works to begin early in 1959 before the scheme's design had been finalised.
So I assume they knew where the location was going to be. If they pushed ahead with doing the groundworks, then that was the location. There was no other debate on where it was going to be. This is where it was going to be.
With an initial budget of $7 million Australian dollars and an expected completion date of January 1963, the push to begin construction without a finalised design and before solving crucial structural design challenges caused the project to be delivered 10 years behind schedule and more than 14 times over budget. Its final cost was 102 million Australian dollars.
Oh. And just work out what that would be now. $102 million. That, with inflation, wow, that's expensive.
Which is equivalent to 927 million Australian dollars today.
Oh.
The construction of Sydney Opera House was planned in 3 distinct stages. The first would consist of the structure's podium. The second would see formation of the iconic outer shells, and the final stage would focus on internal fit-out of the concert halls and other open spaces.
It is actually making me think. Obviously, I know what the outside of the Sydney Opera House looks like, or at least roughly in my head. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many of these the dome sort of shapes that there are, but I have no idea what it looks like inside. In my head, I have no image of what the Sydney Opera House looks like inside. That's interesting. I think I know what the Sydney Opera House is, but I have no idea what it looks like inside.
In March 1959, construction began on some 588 concrete piers to support the 1.8 hectare building. By 1961, the project was already facing significant delays, and work was more than 47 weeks behind schedule, partly due to inclement weather, but mostly due to the lack of completed proposals. To give just one example of the impact this had, The support columns for the building's roof were installed before the roof itself had been designed. When the full extent...
So the support columns had been built before the actual design had been finalised. So what if they didn't fit? What if the roof was too small or too big, and therefore the support structures just didn't fit, like trying to fit a circle into a square hole?
Extent of the roof structure was determined and finalised, the columns proved too weak to support it, resulting in all of them being taken out and replaced. Construction of the sail-like structure that gives the Opera House its iconic shape made up the bulk of the project's second phase. While the shells of Utzon's design were a key part of his winning submission, no one at the time knew of a cost-effective way to construct these large, non-repetitive forms. In an effort to find an economical solution, the roof was redesigned at least 12 times. The project was one of the first to use computers to run structural analysis on the designs, allowing the project team to understand the complex forces that the roof shells would be subjected to. Eventually, a solution was reached that would see the curved roof shells cast as sections of a single sphere. While the individual responsible for this breakthrough remains unconfirmed, it is rumoured that Utzon himself came up with the solution while peeling an orange. By treating each shell as sections of one sphere, arches of varying lengths were able to be cast in a common mould. In total, more than 2,400 precast ribs and 4,000 roof panels were manufactured this way in an on-site factory.
Constructions like this always amaze me because, one, these structures are so heavy and so big that they are able to support themselves. It fascinates me. And then to get that roof structure and the size of the pieces and how they're even made in a factory, for example, it's almost too much for my brain to comprehend.
Avoiding the need to cast the shells in situ and the high formwork costs this would have entailed. Once installed, the roof's structure was finished with more than 1 million white and cream tiles, giving it the appearance we see today. As works progressed, Utzon relocated his office to Sydney in 1963. However, when the government changed just 2 years later, the project was placed under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Public Works. The new government had long been outspoken critics of the project, and tensions around its delivery steadily began to grow.
It's too late now. It's too late. You know, when you're in too deep, you have to just follow through, right? I suppose this is the problem. If it's a project that is a sort of a national project, and the government changes in halfway through, and they've got different opinions on what it should be or what it should look like or whatever, that can't be easy. That really, really can't be easy to deal with, especially if the new government coming in are critics of the project.
Following several threats of resignation, Utzon finally left the project in February 1966, with more than 100,000 Australian dollars owed to him in unpaid fees. Despite public outrage and protests in Sydney demanding that he be reinstated as lead architect, Utzon left Australia, never to return or see his project completed.
Well, that's quite
Departing
sad.
before the internal fit-out began, several changes to Utzon's initial designs were undertaken. The multi-purpose Major Hall, which was to host both concerts and opera, became solely a concert venue, while opera and ballet productions were planned to take place in the Minor Hall, which became known as the Opera Theatre.
I didn't realise there was even two sections. That's the stupid thing. I thought it was just one big opera house. I didn't realise there was a staged area here as well. I can't believe how little I knew. Even the actual outside roof structures, I just thought it was one piece. I didn't realise it had the tiles all over it. It amazes me when I watch these and realise how little I know about the subject matter.
Until its renaming as the Joan Sutherland Hall some years later. Utzon's original acoustic and seating proposals for the major hall were considered insufficient and led to a redesign which still caused acoustic problems for performers and orchestras on completion. After 14 years of construction, Sydney Opera House was officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II on the 20th of October 1973 in a televised event that featured fireworks and a performance of Beethoven's Symphony No. 9.
Oh, we don't want to play the music, don't play the music, don't play the music.
Utzon was not present at the opening, nor mentioned during the ceremony. And it wasn't until the 1990s that the Sydney Opera House Trust appointed him as a design consultant for future works on the building. Utzon was awarded architecture's highest honour, the Pritzker Prize, in 2003, and works to rectify the building's interior have been ongoing since 2004. Works on the Joan Sutherland Theatre began in 2017, and the concert hall will undergo renovation between 2020 and 2021. Despite these ongoing works, and the years of engineering, professional and logistical challenges to...
I've got to stop it. How beautiful does that look? On the waterfront, with the Sydney Harbour Bridge behind it, how beautiful does that look, all lit up?
Bring the structure into existence. Sydney Opera House is now synonymous with the city that surrounds it and has become an enduring symbol of the Australian nation. If you enjoyed this...
So, as I said, it's stupid, but I stress this again. It's amazing how little I knew about it. When it's an icon. This building is an icon. And everyone knows what Sydney Opera House looks like, or at least they think they do. I didn't realise it had two sections, and I've never seen inside. But I love how the opera section of the Opera House has the seating all the way around with the stage in the middle. That's brilliant. That is so cool. And actually, I love the side with the stage on. Which I assume can be used for stand-up comedy, can be used for plays. I don't know if that's what actually happens, but I assume so. But the way that there's the semicircle of seats, so you're always going to get a good view. You're always looking down at and seeing from a good view everywhere you sit. I really like that, and I'm amazed I never knew what it looked like inside. But all these buildings, all these big structural buildings always have issues, don't they? I remember Wembley. When Wembley was knocked down and they built the new Wembley, there was issues. All new buildings that are of a large size always have construction issues, maybe architectural issues. They never run smoothly, do they? And I'm pretty sure they never run on time either. But fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Have you been to Sydney Opera House? And when I say have you been, I mean have you been inside to watch something? Please let me know what you went to see at the Sydney Opera House. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.